Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, back with Automation, the car company Tycoon game and the most powerful engine series. We're going to be building the most powerful Inline 3 engine in version 4.2. We're now in a new category of engines in this series, which is the Inline category. I'll start off with this i3 engine and I'll work my way up with the Inline 4, 5, and 6. So now, let's start things off with this semi-complicated Inline 3 engine. So first things first, on the top left portion of your screen, you set the year to the year of 2020 to get the most power, performance, and everything about the engine. And after choosing the Inline 3 configuration, you may choose any block material that you could choose from. I'm doing magnesium for the sake of weight and everything. For the bore, you max this out to 120 millimeters, and for the stroke, you set this to a 97.6 millimeters, which gets the engine size to 3,311 cubic centimeters, or around 3.3 liters, with a dual overhead cam 5 valve made out of whatever head material that you could choose from, which I've chosen aluminum silicone, again, for the sake of weight. For this quality slider, as you see right here, you set this up to a plus 15 for everything, whether if it's for the block itself, the top end, bottom end, turbocharger, pretty much everything, just to get the most power out of this tiny Inline 3 engine. For the balance shaft, you must have a balance shaft in order to have the engine to be able to run at high RPMs, with a billet steel crankshaft and lightweight titanium con rods and regular forged pistons. For the compression, like any other engine build I've made, we're going to set this up to a 15.0 to 1 ratio on extreme level, with the cam profile almost maxes out to a 97, and the springs and lifters put up just a little bit to a 59, and of course, VVT at all cams. For the turbocharger, of course, well, one turbo because we're restricted to a single turbo, and his turbo will be running on a smart boost system with the intercooler maxed out to 12,100 horsepower. My God, this is big as even bigger than the engine, put it that way. So more about the turbocharger, we're going to be using the variable geometry setup with ball bearings, with the compressor maxed out to 120 millimeters, and my God, man. The turbine also maxes out to 108.6 millimeters. The trim, set this to an 84. And lastly, for the max boost, set it to 46.4 PSI. For the fuel system, you probably know about this one, so we're going to be using a direct injection throttle per cylinder race intake running on the recently implemented DevMeth fuel, with the fuel mixture set to a 10.5. The ignition timing, like my other builds, set it all the way up to 100, and the max RPM set to 8,400 RPM. And finally, for the exhaust and everything, so we're going to be using short cast headers with our only option a single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to 203 millimeters, which equals to 8 inches. And of course, no cattle converters, any mufflers, and bring that quality up. And we get the final horsepower rating of 1,616.8 horsepower at 8,400 RPM, the torque at 1,053.6 pounds-feet of torque at 6,800 RPM. And with this engine, well, first of all, as you see the pistons right here, as you see it's glowing red up in here, but the engine does in fact run. As we can see with the reliability factor, it's at a 3.1. And I did test this out on a random automation vehicle and drove it in BeamNG Drive. It does work, but you're gonna get a lot of turbo lag and overheating with the turbo and the engine in general. Now for the second half of this video, I'm gonna give you here what this engine sounds like. While playing around with the manual testing mode, I'll cycle through the main important graphs on here, starting from the power and torque, torque and boost, torque and efficiency, and power and efficiency. After showing you all those graphs there, I'll show you the engine as so while doing some fake gear shifts for around like 45 seconds roughly, and one off the video right there. So now bring back the graph visibility and give you here right now. It's kind of interesting the idle RPM is set pretty high at 1600 RPMs. I don't think I've ever seen an automation engine idle that high. So that'll do it with Automation, the car company Tycoon game with this powerful inline 3 engine. Despite being over 1600 horsepower that's going to break apart, this engine does fit on a handful of vehicles in automation if size is a factor for your build. Sure, it's got a lot of power, but it has considerable amount of turbo lag and it does overheat like any other engine with the most power. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future, including my automation to BeamNG Drive videos too. So this is TRIZE rising up and signing out.